In Chapter 3, we're going to take a look at how we can automate some of the formatting features that Word has, and also how we can customize formatting within documents. And we're going to begin by looking at the objectives that are on page 79. And if you'll notice here, we're going to learn to insert exceptions and add words to and delete words from the autocorrect dialog box. You're probably very familiar with autocorrect in that the autocorrect dictionary already has some commonly misspelled words within it, and so as you happen to key those misspelled words, it'll automatically correct it for you. We're also going to use some of the autocorrect options that are within that autocorrect options drop down list or the button. Then we'll look at sorting and inserting building blocks within a document. We'll also learn to create, edit, modify, and delete building blocks. And then we'll look at inserting and updating fields from Quick Parts. And then finally we'll learn to customize the Quick Access toolbar. So as we begin, I want you to also look on pages 80 and 81, 82 of the model answers that we'll be building as we go through Chapter 3. And we'll begin with Project 1 that begins on page 83. We're going to create several autocorrect entries from the autocorrect dialog box. We'll then open a letterhead document and use some of those autocorrect entries to type text within our document. So as we do this, we're going to hopefully make it easier as we key in information, and hopefully become more efficient as we key in information within a document. You'll notice at the bottom of page 83 the autocorrect dialog box is shown there, and we're going to get into that in Project 1 as we make some of these changes to the autocorrect entries. There are also exceptions that we can make to the autocorrect dictionary. If you look at the top of page 84, you'll see that autocorrect exceptions dialog box, and again we'll look at that as well. And then we're also going to add words to the autocorrect dictionary that actually in this particular example they're going to have us entering in abbreviations. So as we type in, for example, if we continually type in Ivy Tech Community College, we might rather type in ITCC, and then it would automatically fill in just by that abbreviation Ivy Tech Community College. So lots of unique ways and ways of making our document a little bit easier to create by using some of these shortcuts. So we're going to begin in Project 1A, and this begins on page 85. We're going to start with a blank document, but we're going to go through the options dialog box, get to the autocorrect dialog box, and add an exception to the autocorrect dialog box. And if you'll notice, when you type two capital letters together, as soon as you hit the space bar, it automatically corrects that. We're going to actually make an exception to that particular rule, and then once we do that, we'll add some of those abbreviations that I mentioned previously. Okay, so with a blank document, again, we're going to go to the Options area under the File tab, the File and then Options, and in the Proofing category on the left, you'll notice the autocorrect options area. Also notice these are automatically turned on, so it'll ignore words in uppercase, blah blah blah. So some of those, and I apologize, those are not autocorrect, those are correct spelling. So we only want to focus in on these autocorrect options, and when we go into the dialog box, then we can see some of the defaults that are already turned on. If you go to autocorrect, here's where it shows correct two initial caps by making the first one capital and the next one's going to be lowercase. Automatically capitalizes first sentence, automatically capitalizes first letter of table cells, capitalizes names of days, and you can see the ones that are automatically turned on. And what we're going to do is leave this option on, but we're going to make some exceptions. So I'm going to click on the exceptions button. We're going to go to the initial caps tab, and then we're going to say that we don't want it to correct student. Notice the two capital letters there. We'll add that. It adds it to the list. Also notice IDs there that's already been added. Okay, and the other one that we're going to add is style. Again, we'll add to that list. Okay, and then I'm going to click OK to get out of that. That'll take us back to the autocorrect dialog box, and we're going to add, like I mentioned before, some abbreviations that will be used so that when we type those in, the full text will come in from that. So the first one that we're going to type in, we want to have an abbreviation that's FAV, and that's going to stand for Family Adventure Vacations. And then once you type in replace, as soon as we type in FAV, then it's going to replace it with Family Adventure Vacations. I'm going to click on Add, so that adds it to the list. We also want to add NA, and we want to have the computer replace that with Nambia, which I don't know if that's how you say it. It's certainly not how you spell it. I think I've got it right there. NA, yeah. Okay, and then we'll add. Again, it'll add it to the list. And then finally we want VF for Victoria Falls. Oh, they have another one. I'm going to go ahead and add. And then TTS is going to be for Terra Travel Services. And again, we'll add. So all those are now added to the list. But you can see some of these other ones that are commonly misspelled. Question, quarters, problem. We've got transposed letters. So there's several in there already, but these are just going to be used in terms of abbreviations. Okay, so I'm going to click OK out of that. Also, we're going to click OK out of the Word Options dialog box. It takes us back to the Word document, and then I'm going to open up a file from our Student Data Files folder. And it's called TTS Letterhead. And then we'll go ahead and save it as they ask us to do that. Oh, I don't know why I did that. Oh goodness. Need coursework. There we go. Okay, finally. Okay, and then we're going to replace that with Word Level 2, Chapter 3, Project 1, TTS Africa. Okay. Alright, so now it has a letterhead in there essentially. And then what we're going to do is, okay, so it has a letterhead on the top and bottom there. And then we're going to type in at the top of page 86, figure 3.3. And we're going to type it in just as it's shown here with all the abbreviations and shortcuts given. So let's start out. Type in NA. As soon as I hit the space bar, that's going to replace it with Nambia. And VF, which is Victoria Falls, will automatically come in Adventure. And you can see how this would save you time if you, and you know what, I totally missed the first one. Okay, and that should be centered. Alright, then after Adventure, starting in the top of the paragraph, TTS, again the space bar will put in that particular, those words that stand for that abbreviation. And then I'm going to put a left parenthesis R, right parenthesis, which is a registered trademark. And as soon as you do that, that converts. It's pretty little, but it's in there. And I'll go ahead and type here. Alright, and then NA again. I guess you can see that I can't spell or type very well. Okay, so I think you get the idea. There are NAs and TSSs throughout. Watch in the third paragraph, I guess, second line there where it has student style. They want that to be left as student style. So again, I'm just going to double space down here a little bit. And if you type in student style, notice it doesn't automatically correct that, but it does think that you've misspelled that. Okay? So by putting that exception in there, the computer's going to hold what we typed. Alright, now we're going to go to, they have you key in all that in. I'm just not going to key that in. They do want us though to key in Project 1B the text, the sentence there that's in pink. And as we do that, let me go ahead. Notice when I typed in Ameria, it automatically corrected it to America. So I'm going to leave that for just a minute, but we'll come back to that in just a second. Okay, now if we really want it to stay Ameria, if you lay your mouse back on that word, it knows it auto-corrected it for you. But if you lay your mouse on that, you'll get a blue box that displays below the word, which it does. And if you lay your mouse on that blue line, you'll get the autocorrect options button. If you click on that, and I hope you can see this, there's an option there that says change it back to Ameria. So if you do that, then that reverts it back, gives you the opportunity to keep that word, even though it doesn't match what's in the dictionary, and it autocorrects it. It's a quick way to get back the original spelling. Okay. All right, there's also, through this autocorrect options, there's an auto formatting that you've probably seen take place before, where it automatically applies some formatting such as fractions. If you type in a 1/2 and press the space bar, it automatically converts it to a half or a fraction. And also with ordinal numbers, if you type in a 1ST and hit the space bar, notice it raises that. And you've also probably seen when you type in web addresses, it'll automatically put it in blue and underscore it. So, which a lot of times that's what you want. You want to make it a hyperlink so that it can be linked out to the actual website. And so what they're going to have us do in Project 1C is add a couple of web addresses to our document, but we're going to set the document up so that it doesn't automatically convert it to hyperlinks. And the reason that you might do this, they mention, is that you could be sending the document as a hard copy, like within a letter or whatever, and you wouldn't need the underscores and the blue if you're not going to use it electronically. So we're going to turn off the auto formatting of web addresses, again through the autocorrect dialog box. And then we're also going to go through and do some maintenance and cleanup on some of the exceptions and the additions of our shortcuts within the autocorrect option as well. So let's first of all start out with deleting the option for internet and hyperlinks. So to do that, let's go back into our options dialog box. So File tab, Options, and then Proofing again. Again, we're going to go into the autocorrect options and the auto format as you type tab. Click on that. Notice the default here that's turned on. We want to deselect that so that when we type in these hyperlinks that it will not convert it to an underscore in blue text. Also, while we're in there, notice that these other ones are automatically turned on. The half, the ordinal numbers, all those are automatically selected. So if you didn't want that to take place, you would just come in here as well and deselect those checkboxes. Okay, I'll click OK out of that, and we're going to OK out of the Word Options dialog box as well. And then I'm going to type in some of the information that you see on page 89 in figure 3.5, and I'm just going to jump to the second line there where it says please visit our website at www.emcp.net Terra Travel. Now typically as soon as you hit the space bar, that would convert to an underscore. It would look like a hyperlink, an underscore in blue text. So by us removing that check mark, again, if you're sending this as a hard copy, that will eliminate that hyperlink being applied. Okay, next we're going to go back in. They want us to turn that back on because typically you do want it to convert it to a hyperlink. So I'm going right back into the autocorrect dialog box. Click on that check mark. Click OK out of that. Whoops, let's go back in there. Autocorrect options, because they also want us to delete some of the shortcuts and some of the items that we put in earlier. So we'll go back to autocorrect. And the exceptions, if you'll remember those initial caps, we want to delete those out. So I'm just selecting those and pressing or clicking the delete button on the right. We'll click OK out of that. Takes us back to the autocorrect. And we want to take out the FAV. So if you click down here and type in F, it'll take you down to the F's. There's the FAV that we just added previously. We're going to select it, click on delete. We're going to do the same thing for the other ones, the NA. So again, I'm going to click in here, type in an N. It takes us down to the N's. There's the NA. We'll delete it. The T's, TSS, TTS, sorry. Terra Travel Service, and I'll press delete there as well. And then VF, which is for Victoria Falls. Again, we want to delete that one. All right, and I think we've cleaned up all of the changes that we made previously. So I'll go ahead and click OK out of that. Back in the Word options, I'll click OK there as well.